First thing is about RCAG. For those of you who haven't heard of us, Redbridge Community Action Group. Like you, we're members of Ilford North, who'd kind of just had enough of our political system, our politicians, and the big trigger was obviously what happened and what is happening in Gaza today. Our brothers, sisters, daughters, mothers being brutally killed, and then the contrast of occupied Ukraine versus occupied Palestine. It's all there for all of us to see. So we set up RCAG with the mission to stand an independent candidate in Ilford North and to defeat West Streeting in the general election in 2024, inshallah. And with your du'as, with your prayers, we are already looking and thinking beyond that, because we live in this society. Our children, their children will be around as well. And so we need to not just think about parliamentary elections, but also local elections, but inshallah more of that to come. For now, the focus is the general election 2024, and that's our mission.
Now, the format's going to be that we will ask each of the candidates, or I will ask each of the candidates as the moderator to make a 2-minute speech. This is, I've told them that I'm going to be very tough on them, Paxman-like, not. But I will ask them searching questions where it requires searching answers. And please do listen intently, because obviously the organisation has said that they do value your input at the end. Once they've done their pitches, we have got around 5 to 6 areas that we will be I will be questioning them on. Each will be given a minute to reply, and any follow-ons, they'll be given a further minute. If they do go over their time, again, I'm not going to come down on them like a ton of bricks, but I will ask them to hurry their questions. I do this because we want to cover as many questions as we can within the time allocated, but that's the first session that we will do.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Good evening, everybody. My name is Noor Jahan Begum. Thank you, first of all, for taking the time out to be part of this process. This is Democracy in Action. I'm happy to see you all here. I'm grateful to the organisers to allow me to get to this stage. I'll be talking to you about why I'm here, what I stand for, and a little bit about me. I was with Labour for a number of years. I had been dissatisfied and disillusioned with Labour. And after the events of the 7th of October, the ongoing genocide, the horror that is going on in Gaza, I've resigned from Labour. I'm here because I care about improving people's lives and building stronger communities locally and internationally. What do I stand for? Well, I have 3 key priorities. Peace, so an immediate ceasefire, humanitarian aid, the end of apartheid, public services, greater investment in NHS, more housing, crime and antisocial behaviour, people-powered communities. That's residents like you and me participating in decision-making in the things that affect our lives. A little bit about me. Some of you will know me. My work experience has been around anti-poverty, designing and delivering public services as a Commissioner of Health Services. I've been active in the community. One of my roles is working as a magistrate in the criminal courts. I've been a race equality trustee for some time, and I'm an activist and a community organiser. I've been campaigning and canvassing on a number of health and social care issues. A little bit more about me. Well, I live in Ilford North. I'm a mum of 4. I have strong family values. I've been living in Redbridge since 1998. I have very strong views. I am told that I have integrity. I'm not a career politician. I'm aware of the issues that affect our communities. I can deliver, and I would ask us all to build a fairer and stronger Ilford North that meets the needs of all of our residents. Thank you very much.
Sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. My name is Leanne Mohamad. I'm Muslim by faith, British by nationality, and Palestinian by heritage, and I'm running to be your independent parliamentary candidate for Ilford North. Now, the Labour Party have made it clear to all of us that they are not a viable option to represent us, and our votes can no longer be taken for granted, which is why I am standing to propose a genuine vision for all of us, an alternative option for hope, an alternative to austerity, privatisation and inequality, equality, an alternative rooted in social, economic and racial justice, and an alternative that is actually worth voting for. I am a human rights activist who stood for justice my entire life, and I am your alternative. By implementing both my campaigning and activism experience since the age of 15 on both a local, national and international level, with my political and legal academic background, I am more than qualified to drive the transformation that we are all in dire need of. Ilford is where I have grown up, where I have studied and where I have worked, living every significant chapter of my life here. I have extensive experience working on the ground in our community, most notably through my various roles at our Frontford Youth Centre, as well as our Redbridge Mutual Aid Food Bank, supporting Ilford's most vulnerable families during its most difficult periods. And so this is my commitment to you, to ensure that I can provide effective representation and tirelessly advocate for the long-standing issues faced by us all. From the ongoing genocide unfolding in Gaza, we have learnt that Palestinian children's lives are worth less than the Labour whip as a result of West Reading's failure to vote for a ceasefire. From our NHS in crisis that should be fully publicly funded, we have learnt that our very own MP is happy to open it up to private investment, putting its future at stake. In the face of these challenges, I am someone you can trust, and I will not rest until we become a community that thrives and prospers in the everyday lives of all of us, including my family, who call Ilford home.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome everyone. The reason why I'm here is the same reason why you are here. We've had enough. We want a better Ilford North. We want a better Ilford. We want a better we want to get better Great Britain. Unfortunately, we have an MP, Wes Streeton, who does not care about Ilford. He does not care about your thoughts. I will represent your thoughts. Ilford has been my home for the last 20 years. It's where my children go to school. It's where I live. It's where I do recreational activities. It is where I want to be. But I want an Ilford with an MP who stands up for our values, who stands up for justice, who stands up for peace, who stands up for the NHS, not someone who just listens to what Party HQ says at the top. I've been working in education for over 20 years. I have seen the harm that's been going on. I have seen families suffer. I have seen students come to school unable to concentrate because of what they've gone through. It's not right. We need a change. And I promise you that if I am selected, I will give 100%. I will work with those with the same vision. I will work with you because my view is your view. Thank you very much.
You're standing, all of you, for election to Westminster. Westminster is fully dominated by the major political parties. Very rarely do independents make their mark. Now, you all have, for various degrees, talked about Gaza or inferred that that's the trigger that made you want to do this. But as a parliamentarian, when you've got 650 other parliamentarians representing major political parties on this issue, and particularly on foreign policy, can I start with you, Noor Jahan? How do you expect to make an impact, for example, when a crisis like Gaza happens?
Thank you very much for that question. Yes, the horror that is playing out in Gaza, we're seeing this every day. Over 23,000 people dead, more under the rubble, 59,000 people injured, and many of those children. As a parliamentarian, I will be lobbying for an immediate sustained ceasefire. I'd be asking for humanitarian aid to enter, right to return for Palestinians. I'd be lobbying government to recognize state of Palestine on the 1967 borders, lobbying for a two-state solution. Many of you will think, well, what can an independent MP do? The power is about the community. I will be representing the views of this community, where Streeting hasn't been doing that very well. The issue here is about human rights and tackling racism, supporting the BDS movement, promoting civil rights. Too many times we've been censored, too many times we've been hindered, and I will be representing the views of this community.
Thank you very much. Leanne Mohamad, how will you answer the same question, please?
As you have seen, the current onslaught in Gaza is something that is still continuing, and it's been 100 days now. And we Palestinians and pro-Palestine supporters will never forget that our government gave the green light for these war crimes to continue till this very day, and that the opposition agreed with West Streeting being someone who is complicit. And as an independent in Parliament, I will make my voice heard. I am someone who has a powerful voice to mobilise millions. And that will be something that I will use in Parliament in helping other MPs also see my vision in the fact that this is not just about now, our priority being an immediate and permanent ceasefire. But when a ceasefire happens, our work doesn't stop when it comes to Palestine, because then we need to lobby for an end to the occupation. After that, we have to lobby for the end to the siege on Gaza. And following that, we have to lobby for an end to the apartheid system. And as a Palestinian voice in Parliament, and we know too well how many times our Palestinian voices are consistently and always bypassed and marginalised, especially in these spaces. As a Palestinian voice in Parliament, I will stand up and make my voice heard and lobby for my people, always.
If I become the MP for Ilford North, I will need to work with others in Parliament. Now, we saw that over 50 members of the Labour Party did rebel against the decision when it came to voting for a ceasefire. There is goodwill within Parliament. Not enough goodwill, but I will stand up for what is right. I will work with those, okay, that also stand up for what is right. We have members of Parliament who actually know the difference between right and wrong. So what we saw when we saw that ceasefire vote, we saw members of the SNP, we saw members of the Labour Party. So we will need to create an alliance, and hopefully we will not only have one independent MP from Ilford North, there will be other independent MPs across the country. So I will not be able to stand alone, I will work with others. I will take advice from those that I need to take advice from. The Palestinian Solidarity Campaign, okay, Palestinians, aid workers, charities. We need to work out what is the solution. So yes, I will work hard, and I will create alliances. I will work with all of us that care about Palestine and care about justice. Thank you.
So my follow-up would be, when your constituents are pushing you to take a particular line, for example, on Gaza, and you're a parliamentarian, you have constituents who are not all Muslim. You have many Jewish constituents in Ilford North who will be saying that, well, these atrocities committed by a militant group have also killed Jewish Israelis. How will you deal with those questions? I'll start off with you, Leanne, because we're doing a follow-up now.
Well, when you stand up for justice for Palestine, you stand up against all forms of racism. And that is something that I will make very clear, because the Palestinian struggle is inherently anti-racist in nature. And that means that we have people from all backgrounds, all faiths, marching with us on the streets, as you have seen, a massive coalition of Jewish people standing up for peace. And in regards to any concerns, we Palestinians will say that we do not condone the targeting of any civilians. However, as always, we have to address the root causes of what is going on and the ongoing drivers of the problem. And that is why we are constantly seeing people on the streets fighting for an immediate ceasefire, calling for an end to the occupation, siege, and an end to Israeli apartheid. And so what I will tell you is that the Palestinian struggle is one that stands for humanity, and you don't have to be Muslim to stand up for Palestine. It's never been more clear. We've seen that in numbers of thousands of millions all around the world, not just here in the UK. And I believe that there is potential, that there is hope for Palestine, and it's coming very soon, because we have never seen this support in our lives ever before. We've never witnessed this much solidarity and engagement worldwide, but especially in our constituency. And that doesn't just stop here. It starts...
Leanne, I'm sorry, your time is up.
No worries.
Thank you very much. Marwan, same question to you.
Okay, thank you. Right, with regards to the community, yes, I will be the voice for the community. Yes, I will take into consideration any concerns that the Jewish community have, and some of their concerns might be legitimate. However, I cannot make every single member of the community happy. That's impossible. So where there are concerns that are legitimate, of course, I will take them forward. If it's to do with safety, of course, I will deal with it. If it's to do with anti-Semitism, of course, I will deal with it. But we cannot simply accept that everybody in this area, everyone in Ilford North, is going to be satisfied. An MP has to make a moral judgment. They cannot try and do everything to satisfy everyone. And I think, unfortunately, what we're looking at in some MPs, they actually are trying to make everyone happy. When you try and make everyone happy, you make no one happy. So what we need is someone that stands up for justice, and I'm willing to do that, and I'm ready to fight against any form of racism, any form of discrimination. Thank you.
Thank you so much, candidates. Okay, I'm pretty sure we'll have some follow-up questions on Gaza, so I'll take that from the audience, so please fire your questions in. But before we move on, I'd like Noor Jahan Begum to answer.
Thank you very much. I'd like to say that I will be standing up for all of you, not just the Muslim community, all of the residents of Ilford North, in standing up for justice, standing against racism. I'm not beholden to any party. I'm not a career politician. I don't have to be whipped. So I will be listening to residents. And as my colleagues have said, we cannot make everybody happy. One of the things that I'm very keen to look at is not only do I have to, as your MP, look at the international affairs, but also what's happening on the ground here. The Middle East issue is actually causing tensions in our community. We have to work with different communities and build community cohesion, make sure that our communities are stronger and that we can listen to different views and agree to disagree.
We need to move on to other issues which are of concern to many, many constituents in Ilford North and right across the country. One of the national issues that's taking place and which causes a lot of concern, certainly for members of the public, citizens of this country, residents, that when they try and book appointments at their GP, they can't see their GP. It takes days and weeks when they go to the hospital. The waiting times are so long in A&E. The NHS feels at times it's under such a burden it's going to collapse. We know with the Tories over the last 10 years, there have been stringent cuts all across the board. My question to you, Marwan, because you're the next one on my list, is how will you as a Member of Parliament be able to make significant changes to the NHS, not just nationally, but certainly in Ilford North?
Okay, regarding Ilford North, there is a clear problem. In Redbridge, the ratio for GPs to person is 1 GP per 2,600, whilst the average should be 1 to 2,100. So we have a serious problem in Redbridge. In Redbridge and Ilford, we have issues. We have house building, which goes on, which is needed. However, we're not building the extra services when it comes to NHS places. We do not have, in this country, enough doctors. Now, I was looking at the ratio of doctors and nurses in the United Kingdom in comparison with 17 other countries. These countries include Japan, USA, there's a number of ones. It's called the King's Report. What I noticed was the United Kingdom is in the 5th lowest for both, out of those 18 countries, is the 5th lowest for both doctors and nurses. Okay, so we have a national problem that needs to be addressed, and whoever is the government, they need to be aware of this, and they need to find a solution to do it. So what I will do is I will work hard within Ilford North to address the problem, to look at the problem, and to try and find a solution with those that are able to do so.
Thank you. Noor Jahan, would you like to take the mic?
My day job is in health and social care. This is a growing problem. Now, West Streeting has been very public about trying to modernise the NHS, trying to privatise the NHS, trying to direct funds where they're needed. Now, this isn't good enough. On average, at the moment, post-pandemic, people are waiting about 17 weeks for a hospital appointment for treatment. People are waiting up to 9 to 12 hours in A&E. That can't go on. There is, as Marwan said, there is insufficient healthcare professionals for the number of populations that we have. Did you know that actually there is one nurse for every 12,000 members of public in this borough? Now, as your MP, I will be lobbying for greater resources. I will be fighting for the NHS. I will be looking to increase the national insurance contributions if necessary. I will also be asking local government to look at the infrastructure levy and to make sure that when there is house building, when there is development, that there is sufficient GP places, sufficient infrastructure, sufficient services for people in the community.
Thank you so much. Leanne.
Free healthcare is a basic human right, and that is why I shall fight to defend it. Now, for how many of you heavily rely on either Whipps Cross Hospital or King George Hospital? Raise your hand. A lot of us. Well, did you know that East London NHS Hospital A&Es actually have the worst waiting times in the country? And only this week it was revealed that NHS waiting lists are now 400,000 higher than they were last year. And this is a real issue. Here in Ilford North, also, how many of you always fight through the phone at 8 a.m. every morning just to get a GP appointment? We've seen that. We know the struggle. And it actually is indicated that there's a trend now that 1 million people around our country are waiting 28 days to get a GP appointment, and things have to change. That is why my priority will be advocating for increased GP training, addressing the root cause of these prolonged waiting times, because I am committed to supporting the NHS in Ilford, ensuring that patients are receiving timely treatments rather than waiting months for care. And only last summer, junior doctors in Scotland actually managed to settle their pay dispute. But here in Ilford North, in the Whipps Cross Hospital, King George, we've been seeing the strikes that have been happening. And I would be proud to join these junior doctors striking in their fight to defend their professions, protect their patients, and save our NHS, which is currently in the midst of a retention and recruitment crisis.
Thank you so much. Marwan, you mentioned that your answer for me sounded a little bit vague. I need to be more specific. How will you create the coalitions in Ilford North? Because you're going to have a council that's Labour-led. That council will obviously be or the leadership certainly will look at you and say, well, how much do we allow him or her to take the lead on this, and how much do they take the lead? How will you work with local authorities, for example, NHS trusts, where councillors from the Labour Party or other parties will be sitting and will look at you with slightly suspicious eyes? What are you going to do to reach out to them?
The thing is, if I am elected, I'm not going to look at the council and say they are my enemy. And if we look at the council and we look at also some of the MPs in this area, there's no dispute that there is an argument between one of the MPs in Ilford South and the leader of the council. So that's well known. I will go in with an open mind. I will work with the council where I need to, but I will also hold the council to account. If the council are not delivering, they need to be called out. So that's the way that I will go about doing things. I'm not going in there saying the council is my enemy and I'm going to fight them. This is what we need to do. Here are the problems. Let's work together. And if they choose to work together, then that's well. If they choose not to work together, then I'm pretty sure the constituents of Redbridge will vote them out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Noor Jahan, would you like to answer that question, please?
Thank you very much. This is a really important issue. Yes, one person cannot bring about the change that we need. I have decades of experience working in local government, working with a variety of stakeholders, members, cabinet leads, police and statutory organisations. It's very important that we collaborate, we provide leadership. That's something that I can do. One of the issues here is that, yes, we have a council that is a Labour-run council. There are a number of other parties around the table. It's about collaborating. It's about shared values. It's about influencing and persuading people. And I will be doing that for the residents of Ilford North.
Collaboration and teamwork is key when it comes to this role. And it's not just about healthcare, it's about every single issue that is concerning residents here in Ilford North. However, 75 years ago, we all know our NHS was founded on the principle of free, public, funded healthcare for all of us, meaning everyone should have the accessible right to it. And we will not save our NHS by desecrating these principles. And that is why I will voice your views to our local council and to the people in Parliament, because essentially it is all about collaboration. And I stand firm in advocating to protect our healthcare service. It's a basic human right. Healthcare is a human right, not a commodity, and our well-being should not be contingent on our economic status.
Well, thank you all for your very, very interesting answers to a question which is not always easy. I think you all did really well.